You know, seeing Kon Knueppel hit those threes, they really remind me of another Hornet that used to go off against the Toronto Raptors. Now that is real PTSD.
Lamb lost it, has to fire. Oh! Jeremy Lamb wins it.
The Toronto Raptors beat the Charlotte Hornets 110-108 and improved to 9-5 on the season and are now on a 4-game winning streak. And boy, what a game it was. The Toronto Raptors were finally in a game where it went down to the stretch. The first one this season since, I believe, the first Milwaukee game where we didn't end very well. Our defense wasn't clicking at all at that point, and we ended up losing that game. This is our first single-digit win of the entire season. And boy, is a win like that important because it teaches a young team like this a lot about what it takes to win, especially in a game where you would think that it would be an easy win against the struggling Charlotte Hornets. But this is a team that could not have been taken lightly. I mean, the Charlotte Hornets have taken the Milwaukee Bucks to overtime. They actually look like a competent team against a really good Oklahoma City Thunder team, a generational OKC Thunder team. They actually kept it within a game until the fourth quarter, and now against the Toronto Raptors, they were hitting their shots and they battled defensively. We'll talk a little bit about them later, but let's give a little bit of a brief game recap. Unlike a lot of the other games, the Toronto Raptors actually started out kind of strong and then lost it a little bit. Once again, the bench brought in a nice extra spark. This time, in my opinion, it came straight from Grady Dick. He's been really finding his stride recently, especially on the defensive end, and today he hit a couple of really big threes for us. Offensively, he's been in the right spots, he's been making the correct passes, and then defensively, he's just been really active. So, to be completely honest, if I was Darko Rajakovic, I'd be starting to genuinely think about going to a 9 or even a 10-man lineup with Jamison Battle at small forward, and then give Jacoby Walter some G League minutes. Because while Jacoby Walter has been performing very well defensively, I do think those G League minutes will really help him sort of put his offensive game together. But yeah, the impact was real in the first quarter. In the second quarter, it was real as well. I like the quote from Jakob Poeltl where he sort of compared it to the OG bench mob, but he was like, the OG bench mob was just fully 5 in, 5 out, like every single time. Whereas this bench mob, it's got a lot more variety. It'll be a 4-man lineup with one starter. We had to start off the first quarter. The bench outscored them 10-0, but to be honest, Charlotte did a really good job of staying in the game. Lots of credit for that goes towards their rookie, Kon Knueppel, who had 24 points and 4 threes on the night. He's a super real player, man, and I know he was guarding who ended up being our leading scorer, Brandon Ingram, but I thought he really battled well in that matchup. He's always just been a very solid defender, very reliable shooter, especially for a rookie, and he's a 2-level scorer. He's really good at driving towards the paint as well. Once he cleans up that mid-range game and becomes a true 3-level scorer, I think he's going to be an incredible player for these Charlotte Hornets. And it's kind of why I feel bad for the Hornets in a way, because they've been having some really good drafts, drafting guys like Brandon Miller. Tijan Salon was a little bit of a mess, but then they got Kon Knueppel. Ryan Kalkbrenner was a great pickup. Sion James is playing real minutes for them. They have a good coach in Charles Lee. They've got who they believe is their superstar player in LaMelo Ball. Miles Bridges is there playing well, yet they still just can't make it out of the basement. Like, they've made some good moves as well, like getting vets. Like Pat Connaughton is a perfect example. I think he's a perfect vet for the Charlotte Hornets team, for this young Charlotte Hornets team, because he's, no matter what, always out there playing hard, and I think honestly he could be a good contributor to a team that's trying to play some winning basketball. Going back to the game, the referees sort of set the tone early that this would be a pretty physical game. They were letting quite a few calls go early on both sides, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the refs, just a tad bit, because we ended up winning, so I don't have to go in on them too hard, but this was a game that definitely could have been decided by some very poor reffing. I mean, Scotty Barnes, he was not getting calls that he wanted at all, and eventually he just took things into his own hands and was a lot more physical, but eventually he got a tech out of frustration because they weren't calling stuff on the Charlotte Hornets, and they were calling them on the Toronto Raptors. There was one play where, off an inbound, LaMelo Ball just fully pushed Scotty Barnes off him, and that's what ended up leading to a tech, because Scotty was literally like, what the hell, we're not allowed to just push you now. And then down the floor, Scotty's getting hacked when driving to the rim with force, so it's really annoying. Darko Rajakovic didn't want to speak on it because of the fine, but we got the win at the end of the day, so clearly did not matter too much. While we're on the topic of Scottie Barnes, I thought he was really good, amazing defensively. Scottie, he's so versatile. He really went from guarding Pascal Siakam the other day to LaMelo Ball tonight. RJ Barrett was back missing quite a couple of wide open layups. Honestly, in the third quarter as well, the shot selection when going towards the rim was quite poor for us. I think today was a really poor game in transition for us. They ended up having way more transition points when we had pretty much the exact same turnovers. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But then in the fourth quarter, winning minutes, it was time for the Toronto Raptors to step up. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows like the ending there. We actually ended up choking like a 6-point lead with like 3 minutes left. Gave up. We were talking a little bit about that bad transition play. We were in transition 3-on-2 with Scottie Barnes to his right and Brandon Ingram driving, and then Emmanuel Quickley was the trailing man, and Brandon Ingram pitches it back to transition 3 for Emmanuel Quickley when Jakob Poeltl's also running and he's wide open. So a shot like that, he misses it. They go back down the floor. Colin Sexton hits a 3, 6-point swing. We can't let that happen anymore. And I'm only allowing this a little bit because Emmanuel Quickley's hot, but honestly, plays like that could be the deciding factor between winning and losing these basketball games. But yeah, going down the floor, Scottie Barnes gets out in transition, drives to the paint, gets absolutely fouled, tries putting up a layup, and Moussa Diabate absolutely goaltends the hell out of the ball. The referees don't see it. Play moves on. The Charlotte Hornets go down the floor, and I think it ends up with a Moussa Diabate alley-oop dunk. Then we go down the floor, it ends up in a good look for Brandon Ingram, which he absolutely airballed the hell out of, and it ended up in the hands of Scottie Barnes. He plays a little bully ball and gets the dunk to tie the game. And I need to talk about this because what the actual hell were they reviewing whatsoever? Brandon Ingram shot the ball with 20 seconds or so left in the shot clock. If he had airballed it, which they didn't call, they had reset the clock to 14 because it hit the rim. If he had airballed it, Scottie would have had even more time to hit that dunk. So it would not have mattered at all whether it hit the rim or not. They ended up saying that it hit the rim and that the basket does count, which makes me believe that if it didn't hit the rim, the referees would have attempted to take off that basket and reset the game clock and give us the ball back. If that had happened, you have no idea how many boos would have rained from the arena, how much outrage there would be online, and how much I would be crashing out right now. Luckily, none of that happened. Basket counted. Tie game. We end up getting a stop finally on the Charlotte Hornets, run out in transition, set up our offense, and this is where the biggest bucket of the night happened. Emmanuel Quickley has the ball, gets it to Brandon Ingram, being guarded by Colin Sexton in the mid-post. He waits, pump fakes a pass, waits for the double to come from LaMelo Ball, is incredibly patient right there, waits for the cut of RJ Barrett, plays a beautiful pass right to him. Jakob Poeltl seals out Ryan Kalkbrenner, and RJ Barrett hits the wide open layup. This was such a big testament to the adjustments of the Toronto Raptors, and namely Brandon Ingram. Today we had a really big turnover problem, namely Brandon Ingram. I actually had a note in my notes when I was watching the game that he's had a little bit of a turnover problem recently. When it comes to getting to his spot, he has like the same sort of dribble package that he does, and he kind of fumbles the ball. He's had a tendency of fumbling the ball recently. But this time, you know what I mean, he was able to get to the post where in the past, and he had a turnover earlier on in the game from the post where he passed the ball really poorly out of the double team. This time he waited for the double team to come, not the fake double team that LaMelo Ball was trying to send, waited for the real one to come, and then he played it beautifully to a cutting RJ Barrett. Their chemistry has improved so much, it's going to only get better the more they play with each other. I don't think this pass is made earlier on in the season. This has just come with them understanding their play style, all these practices, all these games, their extra reps for them to understand each other's play style, and it ended up working out for us tonight. But then the two biggest plays of the night, the Charlotte Hornets go down the floor. LaMelo Ball being guarded by Emmanuel Quickley. Quickley does a really good job. LaMelo Ball forces up a shot. It ends up bouncing around, and it goes right to Ryan Kalkbrenner for a wide open dunk. Nope. Brandon Ingram swoops in out of nowhere and absolutely blocks the 7-foot big man. Unfortunately, not too much cause for celebration there because it went out off of us, and the Charlotte Hornets take a timeout and draw up a play. Out of the timeout, they drew up a play for Miles Bridges, gets in the middle of the court. They drew up a fadeaway for Miles Bridges, I guess. RJ Barrett did a really good job defensively. I was super proud of him for that. He misses the shot. The ball bounces around once again and somehow lands right in Colin Sexton's hands for a wide open layup to tie the game. Nope, because Scottie Barnes swoops in and absolutely denies Colin Sexton of the game tying shot. The time runs out. They did this stupid review to see if the ball went out. It was not even close. End of the game. Your Toronto Raptors win. The extra effort protecting the rim is the one thing that I was super proud of for the Raptors. It was both of Brandon Ingram struggled to start the season defensively, in my opinion, honestly. I think he could have been a lot better. Tonight, he was really good when it came to his ball pressure, something that we haven't seen. I think it's come from his ankle getting a lot better. But the one thing Brandon Ingram has brought all season long is actual genuine rim protection. He's done super good at that aspect of the game. And then Scottie Barnes is just ridiculous, man. I mean, he's always just making the right plays. He's always such a winner. I saw a tweet about this, how he hasn't been getting rewarded, or he hasn't been getting paid back for all the passes he makes out in transition. But to be completely honest, I don't think Scottie Barnes cares. The dude is such a winner. He plays winning basketball. He makes the right plays every single time. Once again tonight, only 16 shots. He was really efficient, but he did not need to take more than that because he allowed Brandon Ingram to cook because he was on fire. But Brandon Ingram's ability to get to his shot, it's ridiculous. And today he ended up hitting his threes. He ended the game with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. 2 steals though, and 3 blocks. An incredible stat line for the notorious BI3. I was super proud with how down the stretch we were able to find the hot hand. We did end up taking, there was one play where RJ Barrett sort of forced up a contested layup. That was a little bit annoying, but other than that, I felt like we did a really good job of finding Brandon Ingram. He missed a couple of times, but I think it's important to go to the man who's most likely to get you a bucket when you need it the most, and Brandon Ingram. And when it comes to him, his patience and his ability to find the cutting RJ Barrett, I was so happy that he made that pass, because I'm going to be completely honest, and he said it in an interview, I 100% thought he was about to shoot that contested midi. So I was really glad he made the right play. I think it shows the selflessness of this team. They've talked about it all season long, and yeah, I'm excited to see what it looks like next. A couple quick stats from the game that I thought really stood out. Unfortunately for us, one of the keys to the game that I had was turning the ball over. We could not do that. They did not listen whatsoever. I set the challenge of 10 turnovers or less. We ended up having 17 turnovers that led to 17 points from Charlotte. Another issue was on the opposite end. We turned them over 16 times, but we were only able to score 7 points from those. A really poor transition game for us. I assume that will get better because over the season we've shown that we're really good in transition, but really bad from us today. Offensive rebounds were another category along with the turnovers that killed us. It kept Charlotte in it. We ended up giving up 14 offensive rebounds to our 8. And unfortunately, some of the refs making some questionable calls today ended up making it go down to the wire. But like I said earlier, I think this is going to be super good for us. Darko Rajakovic spoke towards it. Second game all season long that's gone down to the wire. We're going to need a lot more of these because against some of these top teams that won't go away, we need these reps. So it was really important. We took care of business tonight against a Charlotte team, a young, hungry Charlotte team that would not go away. Super proud of the effort from us today. Next up is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers in Philly. They're going to be on short rest. Now it's their turn to come back on the second night of a back-to-back. I don't know if Paul George is going to play. I assume he's not. He played today. Didn't look very good. So I assume they're going to hold him out because of rest. Nick Nurse said Joel Embiid should be coming back soon. I don't know whether that means he's going to play against Toronto or not. But nonetheless, we have to watch out for that man, Tyrese Maxey. I'm looking for a big game from Jamal Shead. I'm looking for big minutes from him in this game. This was one of his more invisible games, in my opinion, of the season. But I did think he had some good minutes on LaMelo Ball. Defensively, he's just a dog. So I do want to see him on Tyrese Maxey next game a lot more. The rim protection killed us in the last game against Philly. We need to do a lot better of a job then. It should help because now we have Jakob Poeltl, so we need to show some resistance with them coming towards the rim. And it's been a couple games in a row where we haven't shot the ball particularly well from three. Today we shot it at 40%, which was pretty solid, but I do think we're going to need to hit some really big threes. I think they're definitely going to dare us to shoot. They're going to force us to show them that we can hit a three before they start guarding us out there. So we need to start hitting our threes early. I really want to see a strong start like we had against them in that first game. I want to see it once again. It's just because it's going to be a really tough game. Extending our win streak to 5, it's going to be really hard, but it'll be super rewarding if we end up winning this. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the Toronto Raptors are now the 3rd seed in the East. And now, I don't want to jump to any conclusions because it's super early on in the season. I understand that. I understand we haven't really been playing the best level of competition. But to be completely honest, we've got some quality wins in my opinion. And the thing that's impressed me the most is that, games like this, the Cleveland game, the Milwaukee game, some of these other games, like maybe even Brooklyn, the Toronto Raptors in the past would have lost all of these games. Like a game like this, we would have been incredibly discouraged. Down the stretch, RJ Barrett or Scotty Barnes would have probably forced up a dumb shot, and then the Charlotte Hornets would have ended up stealing this game from us. But now having a guy like Brandon Ingram just takes off the pressure offensively so much off of guys like RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Scotty Barnes. Emmanuel Quickley with another efficient game. Super proud of him for that. But yeah, the attention he gets offensively just opens it up for everyone else. And then when you just need a bucket, Brandon Ingram's there to give it to you every single time. But yeah, with that being said, your Toronto Raptors are on fire right now. And make sure you guys keep supporting, keep leaving likes, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave in the comments what your prediction is for the Philly game. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next Raptors Rundown.